Welcome to the PowerPoint chapter overviews. I will be going through each chapter, giving you specific information that will be helpful on the MindTap activities. So let's begin to think about what a family is. Your textbook defines it as a sexually expressive parent-child or other kin relationship in which people usually related by ancestry, marriage, or adoption form an economic or otherwise practical unit of care for any children or dependents. Consider their identity to be significantly attached to the group, and then thirdly, to commit to maintaining that group over time. So there are basically three family functions. Raising children responsibly. I was once told that our job as parents is to get our children out of our life. And I thought, that is not why I had children. I had them to have them in my life. But think about it. It does make sense that you want to raise your children in a way that they can live responsibly on their own. The second family function is to provide economic and other practical support for your family. And then the third is offering emotional security. So I'm going to advance to the slides that I want to expand on. And I have them highlighted in yellow, so we'll know which ones to stop on. I believe you can stop, pause, probably is the best word to use, to read these slides on your own, because I don't need to read them to you. I just want to expand on the ones that I feel will be helpful. So the extended family is that of grandparents and other relatives that are in a family unit. The nuclear family then is the family within the home, typically the breadwinner, who typically is a husband, but not always, as you will be thinking about that this week. A homemaker wife, which we know today, most women are not just homemakers, they often have jobs outside of the home. And then children living together in an independent household, which we would consider the nuclear family. There really is no typical family today. We have so many varied aspects of families. Only about 5% of families fit the 1950s Leave It to Beaver kind of nuclear family, where you had a married couple and children with a husband, breadwinner, wife, homemaker. We also have other forms such as single-parent families, two-earner couples, step families, couples that live together, that's called cohabiting, gays and lesbian marriages, and then also three-generation families. We also are going to think about the sociological imagination. There are many personal troubles and some social conditions that do impact families. So we'll go through each of these on slides. So the first one is the biological and communication technologies. We have so many ways, if a couple cannot have children, to do assisted reproduction. If they're infertile, if they're single and want children, or homosexual couples that want children, there are so many ways to make babies besides just the biological normal way. We also have some advancements that raise important relationship and ethical questions. For example, sperm donors. What does it take to be a sperm donor? Do they have any responsibilities? What about the surrogate parents? We know about baby M, whose mother gave birth to her. She was just the surrogate. It was her egg, but she agreed to have a baby for this couple, and after she carried the baby to term and gave birth to it, she said she could not give the baby up, and because it was her egg and she gave birth, the courts ruled that she could keep the baby. So there are many ethical concerns in these types of situations. Communication technologies, the way we communicate with each other, the internet, our cell phones, there are so many more opportunities for families today because of that technology. But also along with that, there comes issues. Cyber infidelity. It's easier to maybe cheat on your spouse through the internet or through your cell phone. Online addictions, cyberbullying. It's easier to bully somebody you don't have to meet face to face. There are also differences when it comes to communication technology between what people can afford and what they cannot. And the overall long-term U.S. household trend has been upward. However, that pattern masks increasing economic inequalities between families. We have a recent recession that's caused uncertainty among families. And then life chances depend on family economic resources. So this slide talks about some economic conditions among different types of people, particularly young people. When compared to married couples with children, cohabiting couples generally are younger, have less formal education, and typically have low income positions. The sociological research also shows that cohabitating as a way of transitioning into marriage rather than a total alternative. So people may just live together with somebody for a short time and then eventually get married. That is no guarantee that that marriage is going to be successful, as we find the divorce rates are about the same for those that have lived together before marriage than those who have not lived together. Some historical periods. The Great Depression and World War II gave much turmoil among families. And then we had the 50s and the 60s, basically the sexual revolution. Then we had some economic hardships in the 70s and 80s. Time seemed to be an issue in the 90s, and then 2000s were the terrorist threats, and we continue to see issues with that today. People live longer today, so we have to be concerned, how are we going to care for the elderly? Religion also has an effect on families. Race and ethnicity also make an impact. Race is a social construction. Ethnicity has no biological connotations. It refers basically to a culture based on language, religion, foodways, or history. The term minority talks about non-white race or ethnic categories that can experience some disadvantage. The United States is becoming more and more racially and ethnically diverse. As a result, there is more variation in what the family looks like. 12% of all new marriages were interracial. Whites are the least likely to marry outside of their race, with Native Americans being the greatest. Family policy is the procedures, regulations, attitudes, and goals of programs and agencies. And then the family impact lens perspective advocates for thinking about public policies in terms of how they affect the whole family.